So Vigilantes, Arrow Season 7, Episode 12 was honestly one of my favorite episodes of this season. It's something like we've never seen in Arrow before. So let's talk about this in this review and breakdown because this episode really was something spectacular. What is up, Arrow fans, Vigilantes, whatever you like to be called? This is my review and breakdown of episode 12 of season 7, titled Emerald Archer. And this was an episode unlike any other, namely because it was shot mainly in the terms of like a documentary style. And it brought back many things that a lot of fans have been wanting, such as Team Arrow, like a proper Team Arrow, even though they have been a team this whole time. And that was pointed out in this episode. It felt good to see some people like Curtis suit up again and all fight together. But this was Arrow's 150th episode as well, so congratulations on that. I mean, in case you guys didn't already know, all the CW shows have been renewed, so Arrow will be getting a season 8. Will we get a season 9 so we reach 200 episodes? Possibly. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But of course, guys, smash that like button. I know I hate to ask, and I know some of you hate it, me asking or whatever, but thank you so much. If you do that, it really helps out the channel. So once again, thank you for taking your time of day to click that like button if you do go on to enjoy this video. But let's jump straight into it. And that is where we got a few character returns this episode. And it was a delight to see. So this was one of the main things in the episode that was just really cool. Seeing Papa Lance again. A montage of clips just talking about, the Emerald Archer and the Hood and Rise of Vigilantism, I think the documentary was called. And we had that really kind of cool, documentary intro. But obviously as well, we had like opinions on vigilantes and vigilantism throughout the years of Arrow from, Papa Lance has already mentioned. We even got like modern day Ricardo Diaz talking about it behind bars, I believe. Some of it was modern day, I believe, and some of it was back, like 2014, 2012 maybe. So Papa Lance was 2014, if I remember correctly. I believe, this is where it kind of got confusing. Thea was commenting on all of it, obviously. And she has a bit longer hair, but it didn't say, 2014 or anything. So you'd have to think that's kind of modern day, and she's just somewhere talking about it since she's Oliver Queen's sister. We also had Simone, talking about how she knew them, the Vigilantes, and you guys remember her storyline way back a few seasons back with Roy and everything. It was nice seeing her and how she said these are people and the toll it takes on them, I don't think people realize. And then of course we had Oliver Queen himself talking about it. And this documentary really was just basically to improve the public opinion, as they said themselves, on the work that Oliver is doing with the SCPD. Because even some viewers like myself, it is kind of strange how vigilantes are outlawed, but you've deputized this guy called Oliver Queen, who's basically just a vigilante, walking along with them. But the present day storyline, everyone, and from what we got teased from last week's trailer for this episode, is that there's some kind of anti-vigilante going round, Star City, at a very convenient time when all of this stuff is happening. But either way, it's who is this guy? And we learned a lot more about him in this episode. I mean, well, to be honest, his story was over within one episode. I was thinking maybe they could stretch it out because he seemed kind of somewhat special, but it was just a one episode thing. I really like how they dropped that his armor as well was Wayne Enterprise tech. They seem to be dropping Wayne Enterprise stuff a lot more in the Arrowverse, and you could probably guess why, because of Batwoman and stuff like that. In the Flash we had the Wayne tech car, you can argue that the Batmobile has obviously the same kind of tech. Now with this suit, it just made me think, okay, we've got Kevlar weaved stuff that Oliver and Team Arrow wears from Cisco, but bullets and arrows were just bouncing off this guy, and it just made me think for a second, man, Batman, he's a badass anyway, but Batman in the Arrowverse, you could just imagine how much better his suit was compared to Oliver's and all the examples I just gave. Obviously, as I said, Batman is a badass anyway, but with stuff bouncing off him, I would have just loved to see a split-second moment of this guy, Batman, on the streets fighting someone. I just don't think Ruby Rose's Batwoman suit looks like what we saw in this episode with the Wayne tech stuff. I don't think arrows would bounce off her suit. So interesting, stuff you could go into there, but I just wanted to chuck that in. Now the anti-vigilante, shall we say for now, shot Renee. I mean, he was just doing this routine drug bust with Emiko Queen. As we know, they've made a point of Renee's storyline recently with how everyone found their stuff, or their calling, kind of, when Oliver went to prison. Diggle went to do his Argus stuff, Curtis went along with him, blah blah blah. Dinah was the captain of the SCPD. You get what I'm trying to say, and Renee essentially found his place with Emiko. And that reminds me, in this episode it was quite nice seeing Emiko Emiko Queen when she had got out of the hospital after being injured by the anti-vigilante guy, and he nicked her mask, which is quite a funny thing, this guy's motive, and we'll get to that. How she kind of quite cares about Wild Dog and the thing they have going as well, which was, it was really cool to see. And it's going to be interesting to see where these two characters go from here on out. I mean, we did get that tease towards the end, which we'll talk about, that the Arrow Cave is coming back. So are we going to see kind of Team Arrow come back together? I don't see Diggle necessarily abandoning Argus and stuff like that, but maybe we're going to see people like Emiko Queen, Wild Dog, and the people who don't really have obligations like Diggle does with Argus, and maybe obviously Dinah with the SCPD be in there all the time. But then again, we've had people like, Dinah in the cave before while she's been at the SCPD. So yeah, either way, expect more people in the Arrow Cave, I guess. Now in this episode as well, guys, we had William come back. Now that was interesting because I swear in the time jumps, and we knew William was coming back anyway, but I swear, like he said when he got to the island after he got sent off to boarding school, that was it. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but that was kind of more or less it. He didn't really see or speak to Oliver and Felicity much again. I swear that's what we got out of those flash forward jumps. But either way, in this story, it was okay. Like, he got expelled. I did feel sorry for him. He does have a point. Like, why didn't they pick him up when things had settled down? Now, that was for writing reasons, obviously, and it's going to be interesting to see the character reasons behind that. But he got expelled. He faked the website. So what the hell was William doing? Where was he living? I mean, if you get expelled from boarding school, do you just stay there? And you just don't attend class? I don't know. It doesn't matter. That's too nitpicky, I suppose. But either way, I liked his scene with younger Zoe. Normally, like, kid acting scenes aren't always the best, but I actually really thought they did a good job, those two. They really did. And I know why they did that. Obviously, specifically, it links to their relationship in the future. I'm not saying they're best buds in the future or anything, but, Zoe, Renee's daughter, in the future, as we know, and older William, it gives a bit more context to their history and how they were there and leant on each other's shoulders when they were kids. Now, in this episode, it seemed that they really, really wanted to fast forward Emiko Queen's identity to, like, Team Arrow. So, like, Oliver revealed it to Diggle, and there was that gene pool joke, which made me laugh. Diggle was quite funny this episode, especially that comment didn't age well. The one where he's in the car talking about how Oliver Queen is not a hero. But obviously, he told Dinah as well, and also Emiko herself told Renee in the scene we were talking about earlier that she is Oliver's half sister, or blah 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 blah. But either way, it just felt very sudden, but I think they're doing it for a very specific reason. So maybe, as I said, when the Arrow Cave comes back, she'll be going in there and out there and whatever and blah blah blah. Now we had Diggle and Oliver investigate the anti-vigilante's hideout place. We saw that he was collecting masks. We saw Ragman's mask there, which was really cool. We saw basically Emiko's mask. That's why she got attacked. And he was just investigating vigilantes, had his equipment out everywhere. So that was quite cool to see this villain's kind of hideout and why he was collecting the masks. Now, at this point, I just thought he was doing it as kind of like a memento kind of thing, but he didn't like vigilantes. But the excuse by the end of the episode was very interesting. Now, before I forget as well, we did actually get a very, very quick clip of Ragman basically saying he still kept trying to help people afterwards. Is that it, by the way? Can I go now? He just didn't really want to be a part of it. He really isn't Ragman anymore. Of course, we had Mr. Barry Allen saying that Oliver's unbelievably damaged. This made me laugh. Now, that first attack, by the way, from the anti-vigilante, when you had the camera guy like following Oliver, those cinematic shots were incredible. I really, really like that. I really wish we can see more stuff like this. And the action in this episode was just really, really good in general. But that was my favorite moment, where the camera guy was chasing after him and Oliver was on the floor and Diggle had his back. That was so freaking cool. The only thing that bugged me a little bit about this documentary thing is that the camera guy and everything, when Emiko was hurt and had broken ribs and stuff and they first went to her, is that she had her hood off, her mask off, obviously was taken by the anti-vigilante guy. So her freaking identity was just revealed there and then, right? Unless only we're meant to see this in the episode and they didn't put that in the documentary. I don't know, but either way, yeah, they basically just completely revealed and unmasked the new Green Arrow. Depends if they put it in the documentary, I suppose. Yet again, another very well filmed moment was when the anti-vigilante was coming in on that debate between the mayor and Oliver Queen. This was exactly, I think, what the mayor wanted. At the same time, she didn't obviously want to put people's lives in danger, but she should have freaking known better. But either way, this was such a cool moment, and either way, the anti-vigilante guy was defeated, and his name was actually Kevin Meltzer. The Hood actually saved him 7 years ago, and this is the excuse, which I found kind of funny. So he was saved by Oliver 7 years ago, sorry, and he was in a psychiatric or hospital or something. So he just wanted to attack them to get their mask. So he was a fan, apparently. Now, obviously, this is a funny way of showing your admiration for vigilantes by beating the crap out of them and just trying to get their masks, but hey ho. Now, some very interesting stuff happened in this moment as well. Like, Dinah was kind of forced to reveal her Canary power to the mayor in order to save, well, both their lives, so she had no choice. And that's when Curtis, Diggle, and Renee were arrested because the anti-vigilante law, is still in effect, so the mayor's hands were tied no matter what she kind of thought. And this is where, like, earlier on in the episode, I kind of agreed. Oliver was like, it's not like the mayor's going to deputize each and every one of us, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, that'd be a bit lame. I mean, it would work, but it's just like a backdoor way to have them being vigilantes in the eyes of the law, but not vigilantes. But then again, it happened. Now, I'm trying to come to terms with this in the sense that the mayor was proved wrong. She did say that we couldn't have got through last night if it weren't for vigilantes. Like, they really saved everything. You kind of have a point, as much as I hate to admit it. So she deputized Renee, Diggle, I believe, and Curtis. So now they are kind of like on the SCPD. They can go to investigations dressed not in SCPD uniform, with their own weapons, all these kind of regulations that are probably blown out the water. Yes, you could say that's too nitpicky. And I know it has to be done, right? Because how else are we going to move forward? I just guess maybe it just feels a bit too easy. I don't know. Then again, I know I wouldn't have liked it to have continued with them, constantly struggling with, how are they going to be vigilantes if blah, 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 they're going to get arrested and go to prison. But maybe I wasn't a massive fan of Arrow Cop in the beginning anyway, and not him being a vigilante. And it really does seem that's where the show is going, because now they've done it to everyone else. And it's like Team Arrow Cop now. We've got a Team Arrow Cop. And it really is, as Oliver said, whether it's towards the beginning of the episode or not, he prefers to do it without a mask now, and I'm just like, please, I want the mask back. But oh well, just have to get used to it. It's a new Arrow. See where they can go from here. But that is when they kind of concluded the documentary, showing them the old Arrow cave, and I really love that transition into a future flash forward moment where Black Star was freaking watching the documentary. Now this opens many questions. I'm still not completely sold on the flash forward scenes. As much as I do find them intriguing, they are really problematic for the show. Whether you're a fan of them or not, seeing exactly where characters are is a problem. It really is. They're still alive. I'm not going to go into that. I have a whole video on that. But it's interesting to know that vigilantes are apparently to blame for this city. Even this documentary was completely banned and copies destroyed. And this was like one of the only few remaining copies left. She was watching it because she wants to go to the Arrow Cave. The fact that this girl is so interested, yes, you could argue she's trying to find stuff for the black market or whatever she does, right? But I think she has a more personal connection to Team Arrow. And yes, I'm going to kind of go there. I could be completely wrong with this, but she must be related to one of them. Whether that's Felicity and Oliver's daughter or something like that. Whether she was completely not close with her parents. Felicity ended up going a bit darker. Whether she was a double agent or not. Shit goes down in the future that we know is an inevitability and is going to happen. They've already said no timeline changes, and if they went back on that, it would be the most dumb decision ever. So this is one of the problematic things. We're definitely going to get what we know is coming in the future. They can't change that, whether you're a fan of it or not. It is happening now. So yeah, I'm intrigued, but I'm still apprehensive of where this can go in the future. And we know Star City's going to go to hell no matter what we're doing in present day. So it's just mainly, I guess, if you find the alluring attraction of how did it go to hell despite what happened. And that is where the time jumps aren't problematic, because you could argue just because we got a time jump and we know exactly where it's going to go doesn't mean that the journey to get there isn't entertaining. So I get that side of it. How could I forget as well? Connor is there as well, and we know where that is probably going to go. We knew that he was coming back, or if you're kind of paying attention to behind the scenes stuff, that Connor was returning. Now this is obviously going to kind of transition not into the exact Legends of Tomorrow future, because that's not going to happen, but it's gonna, some things are going to kind of go the similar way into him becoming a vigilante and things like that as well. So that's going to be interesting within itself, hopefully. But that is the episode, guys. I really enjoyed it. Really fantastic episode. Well done, Arrow, on 150 episodes. I really just loved this episode so much. It was just so cool. It was something completely different, and maybe that's it. Maybe that's why. But let me know what you thought down in the comments below, guys. I really would appreciate it if you got this far. I mean, especially if you got this far, to smash that like button. It really does show your support for the channel, and honestly, every like helps. It helps the channel grow. It helps the video grow out there a little bit more. So obviously subscribe as well if you're brand new and you want to see more videos like this. So we'll have a trailer breakdown up in several hours time after this video. Might be up by the time you're watching this, if you're watching it the day after or whatever. But thank you so much, guys, for watching. Links as always are in the description down below, and I'll see you Vigilantes in the next video. Goodbye.